Hello, and welcome to the Creative Mindset Podcast. My name is Isolde Trachtenberg, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the show. I am recording sort of on the fly for these couple of weeks while the move to New York City completes, and that means that there's no equipment with which to record in my little studio, so instead I'm on the go. And right now, I am sitting in a darkened theater by myself waiting to see a movie because I finished all my work for the day and I have a moment to breathe before the next thing of the evening takes off. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do one of my favorite things, and that is to go see a movie when everything else is done and I feel really peaceful and relaxed. Movies are some of my favorite things, and I'm thrilled about it. But today I want to talk to you about something that is really important and something we forget to do sometimes. There is a synchronicity and a symbiosis to meeting people at just the right time. And I want to talk about the importance of really making small talk. I know it sounds really weird, but it is really important. I was just at the Apple store today and sat in one place and then moved and happened to sit next to a gentleman who, it turns out, as we started chatting and figuring out who was doing what, that he does something that's complementary to what I do, and he wants to do more work in New York. How fabulous is that? New opportunities presented themselves. Presented themselves. And I didn't think about that as a possibility when we started chatting. We were just chatting about our computers, et cetera, and sort of started talking about what our past was and what we do for fun and the hope we both had that our computers would not be dead in the water. And as part of it, he asked me what I do, and I gave him the explanation. And it wasn't really an elevator pitch. I was just chatting, and it was that I go into companies and organizations and I teach people how to work together creatively and develop more successful collaborations as part of it. And he went, wow, really? That's interesting. Let me hear more. And so we ended up exchanging business cards, believe it or not. So you never know when chatting with someone will lead to a great friendship or perhaps a business opportunity. There's no way to know. And so I know it sounds really strange, but there it is. It's important to reach out just to see what connections you can make. And they don't have to be business connections, and they don't have to be full of an agenda of any kind. Just chat. And here are a couple of strategies if you're not sure how to do that. First of all, the hi, how are you always works. Just if you happen to sit down near someone, hey, how are you? And they might say, I'm fine. And you can then even start talking about the weather. Doesn't matter. Or if you're doing something in common, like today it was about computers. And again, I was curious about him, not because of a potential business opportunity or anything, but because he was there with his computer and I had used to have the same model, and we just started chatting about what was wrong with our machines. And it was a way to get to know one another. And then everything else grew out of that. And we found that we were able to converse not only easily, but it was fun. And we had some things in common. And we have people in common at the various places we've worked with, we've worked at. And so there's all this stuff that you can do. So a hi, how are you? With a smile, if you want to reach out, that's great. Asking the person not necessarily what they do, because that's an overused question, but I like to ask, so what do you do for fun? And it always takes people aback for a minute, because that's not something people ask. They ask, what do you do? As in, what's your job? And I figure at some point I'll figure that out, or I'll know that, but that's not the important thing. I want to know what makes this person tick, like what revs their engine, what makes them excited. And that is almost always going to be fun for them. So that's one of the first questions that I ask. What do you do for fun? And if you really want to get a little bit more in depth, another one that you can ask is, what brings you here? And if it's something like you're at the Apple store and they're sitting at the Genius Bar waiting to get their computer worked on, you don't have to ask that one. You can then, the logical one, of course, is, well, what's wrong with your computer? So be aware that there are icebreaker questions that you can ask to connect with people, and you never know where those connections are going to take you. It could be a great new friendship. Heck, it could be the person you end up marrying. It could be a terrific business opportunity. That part doesn't matter. What matters is if you reach out and connect, there are limitless possibilities. I hope you've enjoyed today's show, all about connection and collaboration. And I would love to hear from you about what your questions are. When you meet someone, what do you ask? What are your icebreaker questions? Drop a comment or an email and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I hope that you keep enjoying your life.